Good morning, people. How are we today? I hope we're all well. We'll have a wee look and see who's in there. Morning, Gary. Morning, Alistair. Morning, Stephen. Morning, Desiree. Morning, Lorna. Morning, Alistair. Morning, Ange. Morning, Neil McLean. Morning, Alan Arnott. Morning, Scott. Morning, Mel. Morning, Gary. Oh, we got a legend in the house this morning. Good morning, Kevin. A real broadcasting legend, folks. Good morning, June. Morning, Desiree. Who else we got? Morning, Peter. Morning, Last Braveheart. Morning, Stuart Crockett. Morning, Maria MB. Morning, Jamie Dodger. Morning, Jim Stevens. Morning, Stephen Bankier. Morning, James Connolly. Right, back down the other end. Good morning, Leipson. I see you're feeling as usual, so you'll be meh. One of them ones, eh? Just another meh. You know, I'm feeling a bit deflated myself today. I really am as I look at the headlines. But we'll get there in a wee minute, shall we? Right, numbers are climbing nicely. So it's Indy Truck Davy out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is overcast, but the mist is cleared. It's dry. It's 8 degrees. Today's high will be 12 degrees. It's starting to get cooler, folks. It's starting to get colder. It's coming later and later each year, but it is starting now. When it comes to humidity, we're at 100% again today. As I say, quite unusual for inland. And the wind speed, none to talk about, folks. And I mean that. Absolutely none to speak about. 1 to 3 kilometres an hour. So about 1 mile an hour. A breeze, if that. And, of course, the pollen count, well, there's nothing there to talk about either. It's at 0. Good morning, Reagan Elite. How are you? Morning, Class Action, wee bird. Anyway, let's get on with this, shall we? There's only one story really in the papers today, with the exception of maybe the Herald and the National. But hey, let's get it underway, shall we? First up this morning is the Scotsman. And the Scotsman has historic day hailed after Gaza peace plan is signed. So, phase 1 of Trump's 20-point plan is now in place. We got a lot more of that as we go on. Now, the next two up I don't put up, as you know, because I don't put up the rancid and I don't put up the scum. So what's the Daily Record got for us this morning? Hamas release Israel hostages after 737 days, free at last. Well, do you know something? That's true. The 20 people who were released back into the illegal state of Israel will actually have freedoms. Whereas the 2,000 Hamas Palestinian hostages, which were being held by the Israeli state, they're just being transferred from one prison to another. So 20 people got their freedom. 2,000 Palestinians were transferred from one jail to another one. Whether they be returned to the West Bank or whether they be returned to Gaza, they were being returned to concentration camps, prison camps. So, as you can see, I'm not really enamoured by the press today. And we'll get more of that as we go on. We really will. The scum has, after 337 days in captivity, freed from hell. I thought that's an interesting choice of words. If Gaza and the West Bank are hell, Who fucking made them hell? Obviously, the occupier and the oppressor made them hell. No, the occupied or the oppressed. See, there's an interesting tone to the press today, and it's portraying the Palestinians as the baddies and the Israelis as the goodies. Whereas I explained yesterday, that narrative needs to be flipped on its head. The Israelis are squatters in Palestinian land, claiming it's their fucking land, and they are oppressing the indigenous people of that land. That'd be the fucking truth of it. All this polishing of turds that the press is doing is all it is. It's just putting a veneer of gloss on a turd. Thank you, Davy Keane. Thank you very much. Much appreciated, Davy, and give my best to Dylan and the family. All right. Now, after the scum, we have the Zeke Hale. So let's put it up. Noah's hero is home, and astonishingly, the Daily Mail can reveal he kept the fact that he's an Israeli Special Forces soldier secret from Hamas captors for 738 days. So, as this guy was a combatant, technically speaking, he wasn't a hostage. He was a prisoner of war. Simple as that. This guy, as the paper tells us, was a combatant, and no a very fucking good one, because he get caught. Interesting. Not. After the Daily Fail, we have the other loony rag, the Express. So let's get that up. The long, painful nightmare is over. Hostages back with their families after President Trump secures peace in Gaza. Well, you know, the Israeli hostages might be back with their families, but the Palestinian hostages that were released, especially the ones from Gaza, you're going to find that they are going to go home and discover that their whole families have been fucking slaughtered. No counting what's under the rubble. The head count so far is 71,000 Palestinians, 1,933 Israeli combatants are also dead. But the long, painful nightmare is nowhere near fucking over. Gaza is still a prison camp. The West Bank is still a fucking prison camp. And the Palestinian people have no fucking freedoms. So the nightmare is not over. And the squatters are still the fucking oppressors. Don't mince your words, Davey. I have no intention of mincing my words, Ange. I call it as I see it. Historically, I'm no incorrect. The land that's occupied by the European Jews was stolen from the Palestinian people by one of the most brutal fucking empires that ever came to be, the British Empire, and was given away to European Jews, which the British and the Americans didn't want in their fucking lands. That's the truth of it. But the long, painful nightmare is not over. And it won't be over until the Palestinians have their own state established and have the same freedoms as the fucking rest of us. And you're right, Ali. Gaza is a fucking cemetery. And the remains of what little structures still stand They are the gravestones, which are soon to be bulldozed to put up cheap apartments for the Palestinians and fucking palaces for the rich to play in. Right, next up's the time. We're on the same theme, folks. It's all about the oppressor's joy. 2 years of torment over as hostages reunited with family. 2 years of torment's no fucking over. 2 years of torment is an under fucking statement when we talk about what the Palestinian people have been through at the hands of the oppressor, Israel. Unlike these shitty publications, I'm no polishing that fucking turd. I'm going to tell you what the turd does. It's a bastard state created by an illegal empire. A brutal, barbaric, butcherous, thieving fucking empire. So 2 years of torment isn't over. The torment of the Palestinian people has been going on since 1948. And it won't be over until they have the same fucking freedoms as the rest of us. As I said, these hostages might have joy, but the Palestinians who've been released by their Israeli fucking kidnappers, they're going home to find their families dead. The ones that are going to the West Bank are going to find their houses fucking occupied by European Jewish people who claim it's their fucking land. Truth be told, of course, not fucking one of them comes to the fucking place. And not one of them's got a genetic tie to the land. Next up, we've got The Guardian. What's The Guardian go for this morning? Truth brings joy as Israelis and Palestinians are freed. That fucking headline is a lie, folks. The Israelis might have been freed. The Palestinians were transferred from one fucking prison to another. From an enclosed prison to an open air fucking prison. Gaza and the West Bank are concentration camps. That's the fucking truth of it. And there's no polishing it. Them's the facts. The West Bank and Gaza at this point in time are nothing more than fucking concentration camps. And the Palestinian people do not have the same human rights and freedoms as the rest of us. Might have brought joy to the 20 Israelis. But there'll be no fucking joy for the Palestinians who were released, who are being herded back into the concentration camps to find their fucking families dead or their houses occupied. These fucking so-called news outlets make me sick. They make me sick, folks. And I will not feel any joy until the Palestinian people have the same human rights as the rest of us. But I'm afraid the way things are going, the rest of us are going to end up like the Palestinians, especially if the fucking Nazis in Westminster get their way and do away with the ECHR, the European Convention on Human Rights. Distressing times, troubling times. And when you can see the fucking truth through the shit that's in this press, it's galling times. Next up should be the Tory graph, I think. Yep. Trump, let's end Ukraine war. You haven't ended the conflict in the Middle East. You've just put a fucking stop to the slaughter. The oppression goes on. The oppression goes on. So it does. See, the shite in these turd polishing papers really makes you sick. And I mean that. And I'm as diplomatic as the next man, but there's only so many honey flavoured turd cakes you can fucking swallow. Aye, folks, mind Reagan Elite goes live right after me. Alistair's put a link in the comments. Next up, we'll get the Metro. And the Metro has Trump's plea on Freedom Day in Middle East. Home and now it's time for peace. What fucking freedom? As far as I can see, Palestine's still a fucking concentration camp, open air prison, and so's the fucking West Bank. This is what we talk about, shite being printed and propaganda being spread. The oppressor is being hailed while the oppressed are being demonised. Fuck. And history will prove what I'm saying is right. History's already proved what I'm saying is right. Right, where are we going next? Next up, we've got the eye. We did not give up faith. We did not lose hope. You did not give up faith and you did not lose hope. I guess we're talking about the Israelis here. The ones that were being held captive. Because I'll tell you what, the ones that were being held captive by the Israelis, they haven't been given any fucking hope. They've just been herded into another prison. And for what David Milligan was telling me yesterday, they were being ferried into the prison camps on buses and just fucking abandoned by the side of the road. What happened to journalism, folks? What happened to truth? That's the fucking question. What happened to journalism? What happened to truth? Right, next up should be the Herald. And the Herald's not covering Gaza at all today, not covering the Palestinian people's oppression at the hands of European Jews who are squatting in the land. The Herald's got civil servants furious at new working rules. Now, apparently the civil servants here in Scotland who are fit and can go into the office a couple of days a week have been asked to go into the office a couple of days a week. And apparently they're furious after 3 years or so of not having to cough up for any travel costs. But to me, the reason they're being forced back into the office is because these spaces are being paid for, but they're not being used. Makes more sense, of course, for people who can work from home to work from home. Takes the stress out of them, the stress of the travel, and frees them up for the water cooler where they all generate towards when they're in the offices and get distracted to their work because they're amongst a lot of people. Whereas if they're at home, at their desk, the way I'm at the moment, nobody around me, I can get my work done. But, no, technically speaking, I can't. I'm a driver. Can't drive anything for the computer. Right. Done with the Herald, and I think the next one should be the National. Yep. What's the National go for us this morning? Let's look. The National Forbes has unionists raging as she says Labour are trying to make Scotland more like England. Well, as we know, Sarwar wants to abolish our new progressive tax system and take us back into the old UK system. And Scotland to beat visa ban on social care staff. Swinney unveils sponsor scheme to bring hundreds of to Scotland from elsewhere in the UK. Well done, John. Just import your no-voters. As if we've not got enough of them fucking here. But we do need working age population. If that means encouraging people from other parts of the UK to come here, then when they get here, we're going to have to convince them that leaving the UK and coming to Scotland is the right thing to do. Sorry, leaving our UK and coming to Scotland was the right thing to do. Right, and of course, that leaves us just one paper. And that is the Start, and the Start is back on the ceasefire agreement and the release of hostages. Hostage twins are reunited. Hug of love. Last 20 Gazan hostages home. Israel release 2,000 detainees. No hostages, detainees. Detainees is an interesting term, isn't it? When it comes to the Israelis, they are hostages. When it comes to the Palestinians, they're prisoners or detainees. They don't get the title of hostage, even though that's what they are. They're hostage of the Israeli state. And I'll tell you one better than that, folks. I don't know whether you're aware of this, but what the Israeli state was doing was taking the children of those who may be dissenters, the family members of those who may be dissenters. And they were doing that in order to get these people to behave. And I'll tell you something, the Palestinian people must have looked after these hostages quite well. Because while their own were starving and dying of malnutrition, these 20 people stayed alive. And they all look pretty fit to me from what I've seen in the photographs. But I'm glad these two brothers are back together, because when we think of the 2,000 hostages being released from Israeli detention, chances are they're going to get back to Gaza and find they've no fucking family left. But I want everybody to have this clear in their head. The Israelis did not release any Palestinian people. They transferred them from one prison camp to the next. And Stephen Kelly's telling me that the guns are still fucking blazing. Ceasefire over, 6 killed by gunfire, Sky News. Anybody surprised? Anybody surprised? David and I did say this won't last. Once they get their hostages back, that's it. Gaza's over. And the Palestinians there will be murdered. The ones in the West Bank will be murdered and chased out. Unless the world gets serious in stopping Israel and stopping the European Jews in the Middle East, where they've no fucking business being. Right, that's enough of this gut-churning shite and what is supposed to be our news outlets, where we're supposed to be getting the fourth estate with investigative journalists holding truth to power. but they're just fucking entertainment rags these days. Comics. That's what they are. Right, folks, pop over to Reagan Elite's channel if you've got nothing better to do with yourself this morning. I will be putting my earbuds in and I'll be listening, as I've got some things to do this morning. But I'll be back tomorrow morning, 10:30, with the other Davy, where he'll play the stooge in the supermarket who's been bombarded with a view of the news shelf. And I wonder if tomorrow's headlines will be ceasefire over. Have a nice day. Eyes on the prize. 2026 is coming. Rapidly, actually. Bye for now.